Call this meeting of the City Commission to order on Thursday, June 29th at 6 p.m. in Commission Chambers. First, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Terry Phillips, Bread of Life Ministries, and then if you'll stand for that and continue to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, we just thank you today for this opportunity to be here at the City Commission meeting of Johnson City tonight to ask your blessings upon this meeting. We ask, Father, that you'll bless the mayor and the vice mayor, the city manager, all the commissioners, and any city officials that have part in this meeting tonight, Father God, and that you'll help them, Lord, to look to you for the answers that they seek tonight, for the decisions that they have to make. For we know, God, that all authority is given by you. All who are in authority are there because you placed them there. And Father, help us as citizens of this great city tonight to realize that these commissioners and these folks here tonight are making decisions on our behalf, that you have placed them there for that purpose. Help us, God, to be mindful of that and to be considerate of that as we go forth from this night. We thank you, Lord, for what you're going to do. We thank you for the great things that are coming for the city of Johnson City. And we praise you and glorify you in Jesus' mighty name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commission, your first order of business is to consider approval of the minutes for the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting held on Thursday, June 15th, 2023.
Do I have a discussion or a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, you have a number of different recognitions and presentations, the first of which being a recognition and presentation of a certification to Lieutenant Michael Allen Foshie for his successful completion of the U.S. Fire Administration's National Fire Academy Managing Officer Program.
Got the mic, Kathy.
I want to congratulate Lieutenant Foshie here on a great achievement. This is a very challenging course, but it's a two-year program at the National Fire Academy. It really focuses on adaptive leadership and community risk reduction. It helps them become that next level officer, helps them step up to the level of being able to come in administrative offices later on. But it really gives them the tools in the toolbox to take care of his people and take care of our community. And I'm very proud of Alan to do this. I've been there, I've done this. It's a great achievement. Congratulations on this.
Mayor, the next order is a presentation of proclamation recognizing the month of July 2023 as Parks and Rec Month in the city of Johnson City. We have April Norris here, our new Parks and Recreation Director. Welcome, April and Sam. This is April's first meeting after being named as the Permanent Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Johnson City. Congratulations. Sam is the assistant,
Being
yes.
here tonight, and congratulations. So, we'll read this, and then I'll let you discuss some Parks and Rec stuff afterwards. Whereas Parks and Recreation is an integral part of the communities throughout this country, including the City of Johnson City, and whereas Parks and Rec promotes health and wellness, improving the physical and mental health of people who live near parks, and whereas Parks and Rec promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being and alleviating illnesses such as depression, attention deficit disorder, and Alzheimer's. And whereas Parks and Rec encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Parks and Rec is leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education. And whereas Parks and Recreation programming and education activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth sports, and environmental education are critical to childhood development. And whereas Parks and Rec increases a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Rec is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, and whereas Parks and Rec is essential and adaptable infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. And whereas our Parks and Recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month, and whereas the City of Johnson City recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now therefore I, Todd Fowler, Mayor of the City of Johnson City, do hereby proclaim July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month. There you go.
First of all, I want to say thank you to the Commission for acknowledging July as Parks and Recreation Month. Since 1985, the nation has celebrated July as Parks and Recreation Month. It is a program of the National Parks and Recreation Association, and its goal was just to raise awareness of the essential services that Parks and Recreation professionals provide to the communities across the United States. So through our commitment to excellence, learning, growing, we ensure this field continues to deliver the community benefits that we're also proud of, such as health and wellness and social well-being. So Parks and Recreation is all about making a connection and building a sense of community. So this July, we're celebrating with the theme of Where Community Grows all month long. We'll be highlighting the ways our community is stronger, more vibrant, and resilient because of Parks and Recreation. So Sam will tell you about some of those things.
Thank you. Where community grows. Parks and Recreation is community, and we live in the best community. I see Miss Georgia here, and I think of Carver. Carver is community, and we have an amazing team of people who dedicate their lives to pushing that goal of fostering community, and we have a lineup of some different events and just ways that we're going to show the community that we appreciate you. We appreciate everything that our community has done to help us make Parks and Recreation what it is today. So with that, at any one of our community centers throughout the entire month, you're going to be able to come by and pick up a kit where we're going to call this Parks and Recreation at Home. And it's going to be a celebration of our different divisions: recreation services, athletics, park services, golf services, and senior services, where you can go home and you can pick up a kit from any of our locations where you can go and have a little craft project you can do yourself or with your family, whatever you may choose to do. We're actually also going to help our school system by doing a school drive. So at any one of those locations, any of our community centers, you'll find a chalkboard box, and we'll be taking school supplies and then actually giving it to the school system so that they can disperse that to the students who they know need it most. You know, there's some other events to keep an eye out for. Friday, July 21st is actually Parks and Recreation Professionals Day, where we're going to be celebrating our team, and we're just looking forward to going all out to continue to foster community, and thank you so much.
I'm going to put in one more plug. They just started a new program for football, for youth football, and how many people? Over 350 kids have already registered for the football for this. So I think they're doing a great job at signing up kids and getting them ready, and it's going to be a great fall for football. So thanks for doing that too.
Mayor, can we add another comment too? I've been a long-term commissioner, and one of the things I am so proud of in our city are our park system, from Civitan to Winged Deer to Willow Springs, Buffalo Mountain Park, which is one of our kind of hidden secrets that is so beautiful out there. But we just have some of the best parks of any city, anywhere. And then you add the thousands of children, our youth in this community, who through our league programs and through all the different activities, from our naturalist programs that we have to many of the summer camps that you do, you touch the lives of every citizen in this city. I know that. And so thank y'all so much for being the caretakers of our parks, making them so well received out there. And some of the best things I hear when I'm out and about the community is our Parks and Recreation Department. So thank y'all so much. And we're going to be welcoming the expansion of Winged Deer Park here soon, really, if it'll ever stop raining. But that is just going to be an amazing facility out there. It will be one of the best sports centers in Tennessee and beyond. Yeah.
It's exciting to watch it grow every day. Sam and I were out there today and curbing and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Right.
So thank
Okay.
you all for always being so supportive
Right.
of all of the things that we do and all the things that we instill
Good.
throughout the community. So
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Commission, the next presentation is a proclamation recognizing June 29th, 2023 as Carver Housing Day in the city of Johnson City.
They're going to leave you on your own. All right, I'm going to read this and then I'll let you. All right. So whereas the Johnson City Housing Authority began work on the Carver Housing Development in 1951, and whereas the Carver Housing Development officially opened in 1952 and was named after noted agricultural scientist George Washington Carver, and whereas Georgia Carvetta Gaines was the first baby born in the Carver development 3 days after moving into apartment 520 on August 31st, 1952 to Claude and Virginia Goins, and whereas the Carver Housing Development will be celebrating its 71st anniversary in August 2023, and whereas the Carver community is an integral part of Johnson City and its history, now, therefore, I, Todd Fowler, Mayor of City of Johnson City, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim June 29th, 2023 as Carver Housing Day in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Thank you very much. This is Housing Director Sam. He's new in town, fairly new. And my friends and my family. Thank you all for coming. Carver has been a lovely place to grow up. And if my mama was here, she would say they moved from Fall Street, which she says that had running water and indoor plumbing when we got to Carver. So she was proud of that. But I thank everyone for coming, and come by tomorrow and see us. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's Friday.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the commission for this recognition, and Carver is a big part of the Johnson City Housing Authority, and we're proud of the community and the individuals that want to celebrate that, and we're happy for everybody to come to the celebration, and we want to continue to create communities that will live for 70 years, that people are still proud to call home. So we've recently did a change to our mission statement, and that's kind of part of it, you know, is providing a community to call home. So we want to continue doing that, and that's our main goal. So thank you.
Mayor Fowler, if I may just say a few words. I do want to acknowledge Ms. Goins as one of our pillars and cornerstones of our community. Your work does not go unnoticed. And I could not allow this moment to pass by without acknowledging your efforts and your hard work, the example you set. I see Mother Mary in the back there. God bless you. You do so much for many people in our community. You cook, you do meals for the bereaved, and your work does not go unnoticed. So I want to publicly acknowledge you too for all that you do, and may God continue to use you and bless you. We love you so much.
The next item is the presentation on the 26th Annual Pepsi Independence Day Fireworks Celebration. And I'll invite Mark Stone, our Director of Freedom Hall, to come forward.
Good evening, Council. I have a special guest with me today, and I would like to introduce him to you. It is Rex Henley of Pepsi, and I believe he has a few words for you.
Thank you, Mark. So good evening. Thank you for the introduction. Just really appreciate you guys allowing me to come tonight. And first want to start out thanking the city of Johnson City for the first 35 years of this event and all the support and, the partnership we've had over the year, the 35 years, and all the amazing events that, we've done over at Freedom Hall and our partnership. And, then secondly, I want to invite you out to the 36th showing of the Johnson City Fireworks over at Freedom Hall. And, just say we've got a really awesome event set up for you this year. We've done a few things, partnered with the Johnson City Parks and Rec. They've added a kids zone that we feel really happy about and think that it's going to be a very, very nice addition to the things we already got going on there. Mark and his team over at Freedom Hall have been so great partners for so many years, and the things that you guys have added this year, we really feel like this is going to be one of the best shows that we've ever had. We've got 3 amazing acts that start, musical acts at 6 o'clock on up, till leading up to the fireworks show. And then, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for coming out and starting the show for us, like you've always done in years past. And if you guys got any questions, I'll try to answer them. But again, thank you for the first 35 years, and thank you so much for your partnership with Pepsi. And thank you for allowing us to have this wonderful event again in the city of Johnson City.
So is the mayor actually going to light them?
Push the button.
Well, I mean, I guess if he wants to, that'd be something we'll have to work out.
That'd be interesting.
I think I'd rather just do the countdown and let other people
Yes, sir.
drill
Yes, sir.
that, so that'd be good. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
looking forward to being there, and thank you for Pepsi and the sponsorship that they do. It's awesome, so thanks.
I do have
Yes,
one
sir.
question for you.
Yes.
Is this the product right here?
It certainly
Well,
is.
thank you for putting them up here for us, all right.
Thank you for allowing
And we
us
thank
to.
y'all for everything you've done over all these
Absolutely.
years.
And I have some things here. I don't know if I can give that out here or afterwards. It's the passes and parking passes. We want every single one of you guys to come. And if you need more, please.
We'll be able,
Yeah.
happy
Thank
to
you.
We
take them
just
from
leave
you,
them
and we'll
here.
get them distributed, so that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
No rain,
Yeah, praying for no rain.
no rain.
Commission, your next order of business is to consider approval of appointments to volunteer boards and commissions.
All right, we had a meeting earlier today that went over, I don't know if I can. If you didn't know, there are a lot of people that have applied, and we appreciate everyone applying for different boards and committees and commissions that were up. And this is our matrix of people and boards that they have applied for. That is we got a lot of good participation in this, and we are really happy that we have that. And we made some decisions earlier, so you didn't have to sit through quite a long time of going through all of that. but I think
So you studied at the Ross Perot School of Visual Aids.
absolutely.
Hold them and turn them over like
The
that.
whiteboard
But,
chart.
yeah.
So I think Commissioner Wise is going to go over these.
So yeah, I'm going to read down through the list of the boards and commissions and then who we identified in the work session. And I think it bears just repeating. We as a community are fortunate to have as many people who apply and would serve ably in these roles. And sometimes we're in the unenviable position of having to pick just one or two out of a list of 6 or 7 or more. And so to those who may not hear their name called, please do not let that discourage you from reapplying. Sometimes the seat has someone already in it that's subject to a second term or something of that nature. So with that said, starting down the list, the first board or commission is the Board of Building Codes, and the commission identified Forrest Visor as a 3-year term appointee. The second is the Board of Dwelling Standards and Review. This is a 6-month term, so I think we're completing a portion of a vacated seat, and it's Jalen Allen. The third is the Board of Zoning Appeals, also being appointed to a term that's in progress, so 2.5 years remaining, Jay Emberton. The Bright Ridge Board of Directors, this is a 4-year term, and for those who watch this board closely, you'll know that just a few months ago we appointed Kimberly McCorkle to the remaining few months of a term, and so she has been appointed now, or is being proposed for appointment to a full term to the Bright Ridge Board of Directors. The Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors, these are 3-year terms, Shannon Castillo and Joel Dahlhauser. It's worth noting that Mayor Fowler and Commissioner Brock will continue to serve as the commission representatives to the CVB. The Historic Zoning Commission, 1 vacancy, and the appointment identified is Michael Hensley. The Housing and Community Development Advisory Board, these are 3-year terms, and there are 4 names: Joseph Buckles, Richard Church, Zach Schutz, Nicholas Woods. So those 4 for Housing and Community Development. Then there are 3 appointments related to the Johnson City Development Authority. 2 of those appointments are for the full 3-year term, and 1 of those appointments is to fulfill a partial term for 2 years. So Bob Cooper is being proposed for the remaining 2 years, and then Chris Hyder and Daniel Tackling are being proposed for full 3-year terms. Then we come to the Johnson City Public Library. There are 3-year terms and 3 names being proposed. They are Darrell Carter, Rob Davis, and Georgita Washington. Then we come to the Johnson City Regional Planning Commission, and again, we have a combination of full terms and a partial term. And so we have 2 being proposed for full 3-year terms. Those are Bob Cooper and Chris Dagenhart. And then a single seat for the remaining 2 years of a term that was in process, and that's Benjamin Dutton. And then it's worth noting that the mayor's representative to the Planning Commission will be Robert Williams. So 3 appointments and then a mayoral appointment of Robert Williams. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, there are 2 appointments to full 3-year terms, Matthew Palmetier and Adam Welch. And then we have 5 appointments to the Public Art Committee. Those are all 3-year terms. And it's Wendy Day, Lynn Govette, Katie Murphy, Linnea Salinas, and Joe Smith. And then at the end of the list, the Tri-Cities Airport Authority, we have 3 seats, and they serve for 3 years, and this is the first in that rotation, and we would be appointing our city manager, Kathy Ball, to serve on the Tri-Cities Airport Authority Board. So that's the list that came out of that work session.
Are you making that as a motion?
I would make that as a motion.
I'll second.
We do have one other thing, though. I am stepping down from the Bright Ridge Board.
I am sorry, you are
Yeah,
correct.
I've served 3 terms and seen such an amazing transformation of Bright Ridge from just an electric provider to essential utilities in this area. So very proud to have served on that board. Commissioner Hunter will be taking my seat on that, so that goes into the approvals as well.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion about these picks?
So I guess I would be modifying my motion
Yeah.
to add the correction that I omitted, the Bright Ridge change, and then
Yeah.
second to that. Okay.
Anything else? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, your next order of business is consideration of the consent agenda.
I will start on my left.
Really?
Commissioner Hunter?
All right.
How would you like?
I thought I was getting
Yeah.
forgotten. 6.1.6.
6.1.6. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Brock.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 6.2.1, the Indian Trail.
All right, Vice Mayor.
Commissioner Hunter,
Hold yours.
pull mine.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
very good. And?
No, sir.
All right. Those are the only two we're pulling then.
On item 6.1.6 is consideration of an option for a ground lease between the City of Johnson City and TowerCom. And I'm going to ask Assistant City Manager Randy Trivett to come up to be able to answer any questions that you have about that item.
He's coming.
Wrong way, wrong direction with traffic.
For me, I just, and for general public, just wanted to get some detail about the appearance of this tower and whatnot, and
its
what
location.
it's all about.
Well, it's been requested for a long time, and we've been exploring some options to try to get a Verizon tower up above Science Hill High School. We have a lot of issues with service in that general area with Freedom Hall, with the high school campus, with everything around there that Verizon just doesn't work. So the schools requested this 2 or 3 years ago. We met with some Verizon representatives and got them to come forward to look at some options for us and to do this. And when we kept trying to find a location, we kept trying to negotiate the right lease, we kept trying to do something that would benefit that entire pocket of area that just wasn't being serviced correctly. And so we landed on a spot beside of Liberty Bell Boulevard and Garanda, and it's the wooded area. So they'll leave that wooded tree line as a buffer and then cut a road that goes back inside that corner at the front corner there and make a 60 by 60 fenced in area that they'll have their equipment in, and it'll be a 150-foot monopole that will have the Verizon antenna, and then they'll have the ability to co-locate on there as well. And so we've worked out a ground lease with them, as you can see, and we will share in percentages of the revenue for them co-locating any other service providers up there. So it's pretty consistent with all of our lease agreements that we have with other providers throughout the city. But the benefit to this is that area has been very weak in signal, and we have a lot of complaints from Freedom Hall users and from the Science Hill campus. And this will improve that. Plus, with now us using Cartograph as our work order and work system maintenance tool, Water Sewer uses it, Public Works uses it. They use these field iPads, and so it's Verizon enabled. And so when they're in those areas trying to do work on sidewalks, roads, or whatever the case may be, they have to drive to another location to pick up signal in order to put in what work they've completed or to even get their work order downloaded.
And the appearance of it, is it just a straight pole, or?
It is a straight pole. They proposed originally to do like a tree, but the tree cost was so expensive, and then the lag time and the delay on getting it in, and with all the trees that are already around there that they're going to leave as a buffer, I agreed to allow them to use just a straight monopole. It doesn't come down like the Eiffel Tower with a big base. It's just the straight 150-foot monopole.
Mr. Trivett, that's on city property, right?
That is city property.
What's the acreage there that we own that I'm assuming will not be built on or anything like that?
No, it wouldn't be built on, and I can't remember the acreage right off the top of my head. you know, we own across the street, which we keep mowed, that goes all the way back to Metro Kiwanis. This is the part across that Garanda Drive that's grown and wooded area. And so you know when you go on down Garanda, you eventually hit private residence. I think there's a church right there.
There is first.
So we own from the corner back to the church property. So I couldn't imagine it being more than 3 or 4 acres, but I just don't
But
remember.
it's
how
closer
much.
up to Liberty Bell Boulevard, is that correct?
The-
On the property?
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
They would
And-
be probably like a 10 or 15-foot buffer between the edge of the road and where the actual compound would be
Do
constructed.
we notify the neighbors in that area that a project like that's going to be taking place?
Did we?
Do we? Yeah.
We could. They have to go through the process. Just because you guys are looking at a lease and approving the lease does not necessarily mean that the tower would go in. I met with the company, TowerCom, on this week on Wednesday, and told them they have to get permits, they have to go through planning and development services, they have to get all the requirements that any other company would get, even though it's on city property. That does not exempt them from all the requirements of making sure the zoning's correct, to make sure the buffering and all the heights and everything that's associated with the zoning requirements for cell towers are met. But we could send out letters. I could have planning and zoning draft letters and tell them that something like that's going to take place. But if it's zoned properly and they meet all the requirements,
But there's an opportunity for input because of the review process it'll go through.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
That's all. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
I'm excited to see it happen.
Yeah, somebody who's sat in car line at Liberty Bell unable to get a cell signal.
I think, yeah.
Thumbs up for
A place
this.
so highly dense with children that
Yeah.
don't have good cell phone services.
And Freedom Hall has a few
risk.
things over here there that they probably want to have some people accessing.
Sure.
So, all right, next 6.2.
Next item is under bid, 6.2.1. It is for AstroTurf Construction Corporation Indian Trail Middle School, synthetic turf field project. We have our Facilities Director, Brian Ross, here. I also noticed that we have Steve Barnett here, and it looks like our Assistant City Manager is actually making his way
I'm glad he
up
got
here.
all the way back to that.
I think we should have the
seat,
three of them up here. Yeah.
School superintendent as well.
Thanks, Randy.
Sorry, I
Is the
didn't realize that
facilities
was
director
coming
not
next.
coming up?
Yeah.
I mean, I heard him called out.
We're here. This
Yeah,
is the
we're,
team.
that's one of those projects that every time we're out in public and one of the coaches sees us or anybody, it's like, where are we on it? So I thought maybe publicly y'all could fill everybody in.
Well, we opened bids. We've gotten the design done to open bids. And what this project entails is at Indian Trail Middle School, the track that circles around this field, that's a practice football field, we're putting artificial turf on that field. But before they do that, they're going to take up all the topsoil and the dirt. They're going to install all these drainage. If you've been out there, you know how high it is and how the track surrounds it. So all the drainage components go into it. It gets a new football goal post. It gets new scoreboard with new wiring that goes to the scoreboard. Sprinkler system that comes around on the outside to make sure we continue to water the grass that's on for the field events. And then the turf goes in. We opened bids. We had only one bidder. When we had a pre-bid conference, we had about 3 different companies that showed up. But because of workload and jobs that they already have, they chose not to bid. We even reached out to them to make sure they were choosing not to bid or to see if there was some confusion. They said they just had too much work going on. So the one bidder came in. We had $1,450,000 budgeted for this. The bid came in at $1,500,000 and some, whatever the cost is there, a little over $1,500,000. And that difference was all in contingency. So we put some contingency in there in case we hit anything unforeseen. Dr. Barnett went back to the school board. They've agreed to cover that different cost. You know, the city issued some bonds for $1.1 million. That's what our investment's going to be. And the school board's using fund balance from school funds to make up the difference on that.
Be huge. The drainage also impacts the track. So when this project's completed, we'll go back to the board and look at the possibility of doing something with putting a surface on the track.
Yes.
Can't do that until this is done. There also, I think, did you mention the fence?
Oh, no, I
Involved
didn't
in
mention
this.
the fence.
Also, 8-foot fence involved.
8-foot fence that encloses the entire area all the way around, just to keep, protect the football field and our investment.
Right. And the timeline for it?
If you guys approve it today, we'll get with the architects to write a notice to proceed and get that to AstroTurf. They will get the materials all ordered and start scheduling construction. We hope construction could begin within the next 8 to 10 weeks.
What's the
Soccer and football, we use the outfields and also Wing Deer Park
Okay, in the
fields for
interim,
that,
yeah.
for the fall.
What kind of process do y'all go through to select the kind of turf that's going to be there? I know it's come a long way since the original turf, right?
Yes.
Dr. Fowler?
Original.
So, and there's some that, I mean, you can hardly tell from grass.
Right.
So, what?
We
what do y'all
rely
select?
heavily on the architects. CHA's got a lot of experience. They design and have a lot of this installed. And then we also used the athletic director, Coach Turner, to see what he's already got in place, what works good for them, where they've had problems with some. And so we adjusted the specs on this particular project anyway at Coach Turner's advice, to make sure that we were getting a product that they would be happy with and that they think would last a long time. Now, as you all know, all of these artificial turf fields probably only last about 10 years. That's the life of them, and then you're gonna have to look at replacing them after about 10 years.
But part of this expense is the drainage, also.
Oh, yeah, for the
surface
cost.
underneath, so cost on a replacement. In 10 years from now, future dollars should be less.
Because you'd just be replacing the turf. And this includes wiring to the scoreboard and new goalposts and all that as well.
Work on that field was going to have to take place anyway, so,
Yes.
you know, rather than investing, you know, in something that's, was problematic to begin with, we can really get a great facility out there, so.
Yeah, and the size of the city, size of the school system, we're gonna need additional space for running, for track, field, those things. So, you know, it's one of those things, I'm sure we all wish we could have had it done a lot quicker, but it's
Yeah.
just part of the process to get this
So
done.
spring
get it done
short,
right.
spring sports should be able to use it?
Yes.
Think so?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're hoping.
thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I should have mentioned earlier, you know, when I said we've been working on that Verizon tower for 3 years, it's Dr. Barnett and I that was up there walking through the woods looking for a place.
That wasn't necessary, but I'm sitting over here. If you need anybody that lives in that area to come and speak on behalf of that tower, I'll show up.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move
Commission?
approval. Second. On the
I have a
consent,
motion
sorry.
and a second to have any further discussion on the consent agenda. All right, Ms. Lass?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, sorry, I'm jumping the gun on some of these. I must have had too much caffeine today. The next order of business is ordinance number 4845-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to amend Article 3 and Article 6 of the zoning ordinance to make changes related to 3 overlay districts, corridor design gateway, and this is Amber Rogers. I will tell you, we would recommend that the commission consider deferring this until we can have a work session and consider it at a later date.
I would make a motion, we defer it to allow for a work session with the commission.
Second.
I have 2 seconds, actually. So, any discussion? Ms. Lass?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, next order is ordinance number 4849-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to revise and update Title 15, Chapters 1, 7, 11, 12, 14, 15, and 16 of the Code of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee. And we have our city attorney, Ms. Sandos, here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a fairly comprehensive update to Title 15. There are 9 separate ordinances that are going to be addressed. This has been a collaborative effort to identify these ordinances that are needing to be updated. Staff Attorney Blake Watson did a wonderful job of identifying our state code and matching it up with our municipal ordinances. Sherry Keenan, paralegal for the city, put all the ordinances together. She actually prepared this slide and had prepared to be here, but unfortunately wasn't able to be with us this evening. So I'm going to go through this. Commissioner Wise, I know I'd promised 9 slides. It's a little more than that. But I know you're gluttons for information, so. So identifying first, what are we doing and why did we identify these areas for update? The traffic citations that are issued in the city of Johnson City are required to be referenced to 2 different sources. One is our TCA code and one is our municipal ordinances. So that's what you'll see are the governing laws for those citations. The purpose of this update is to match up the areas of our municipal ordinance that do not currently match to our TCA code. Whenever we say they have to both be referenced, they need to be similar so that they are charging with the same citations. These are the traffic provisions that are going to be updated that you're going to see for consideration. So again, the purpose, Title 15, the last time that our municipal ordinances were updated was 1985. The Tennessee Code statutes that are applicable were updated in 2019 and 2022. So we're catching up to the state. Again, eliminate the inconsistencies in our state and local law, clarify the violations on the citation, improve our municipal court operations. Whenever somebody's issued a citation, it's better for those citizens to be able to see what they're actually being charged with. So this is the first ordinance that's going to be updated. That is automobile races, and I'm not going to read through each one of those. If anybody would like additional information, please stop me and ask me. But this is the new proposed statute for automobile races. Again, that's taking that TCA code section language and matching it up to our municipal ordinances. The second is the display of unauthorized signs, signals, etc. We're taking a portion of the Tennessee Code that's highlighted and adding it in as Section 3 on our municipal ordinance. So that's the added language. Your traffic lanes, again, you're going to see what is currently on the Title 15, and then what's the Tennessee Code. That highlighted section, those are the parts that are not currently compatible. So your traffic lanes, this is going to be your new proposed language for your traffic lanes. One-way roadways, again, you'll see the current title, Tennessee Code section, and then the updates to the proposed sections. And we've got 9 of these. Again, this is, I think, number 5. So we've got the impound of vehicles. We are updating reference to our lights and reflectors, which is on the front beams and headlights of the motor vehicle. Right-of-way and crosswalks. This section, the updates specifically are related to school zones, unless it is marked in a school zone when the flashers are in operation. And then there are the last 2 updates. They're in Title 15, but the primary enforcement of those falls under our codes enforcement officers rather than primarily with our JCPD. We are adding the term watercraft to the definition of a vehicle. Again, that is so if there is a nuisance vehicle, inoperable vehicle. Currently, we require that to be a motor vehicle. Sometimes if it doesn't have a motor, it's not defined as a motor vehicle. And you might have a boat or a jet ski or something that is inoperable, still would be a nuisance vehicle, but this allows codes enforcement to address those issues as well. And those are
Would
all of the
trailer,
updates.
trailer, would that be considered a vehicle or?
A trailer wouldn't be considered a vehicle.
Can you-
No, there are other components that must be included.
Can you back up to the slide that had the sign language? It was probably about 4 in.
I know where you're going.
Well, I just wanted to, I was trying to read it when it went past.
Yes.
Okay, so, and then the next slide.
Yes, sir.
Well, I thought there was another slide that had our modified language. Okay. All right, thank you.
So primarily the purpose is, again, to take the areas of our municipal code that haven't been updated since 1985, bring those up to a consistent factor with our
For the record,
Tennessee
that's
code.
longer ago than the first Pepsi fireworks, by at least like 3
Yes.
years.
Yeah. Can we go back to the impounded also? We were through that pretty
Absolutely.
quickly, and I don't know what those changes were.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. So you'll see our current Title 15 currently reads any vehicle of any kind which shall be parked in any zone designated as a no parking zone. That designation as no parking zone doesn't exactly coincide with our Tennessee Code annotated with regard to the ability of our officers to enforce these. Or when somebody gets a citation, they've got some conflicting language on their citation with regard to the reference of their of the code. So we're taking those highlighted portions of the Tennessee Code annotated and incorporating those into our new Title 15 that's proposed before you.
So they can impound a vehicle if it's parked in these unauthorized places?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Are there any
Anything else? I'd make a motion, we approve on first reading.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Commission, the next item is item 7.3, ordinance number 4850-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to revise and update Title 12, Chapter 3 of the Code of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee.
Good afternoon
Chief
again.
Bell.
What we're doing with this ordinance revision is getting rid of some language in there requiring a shunt trip. A shunt trip is how you disconnect the power to a structure if it was on fire. We have built a really good relationship with the electric companies here, with the power board. That's allowed us to get them onto the scene quicker, that we're not having to use these items anymore. And it's an additional cost on builders that we want to take that away. We want to reduce that a little bit to give them a little bit of a benefit there, but this is not something that's going to cause a safety issue for us, because we're able to use them to disconnect the power at the pole versus us actually having to do it at the scene. It was put in place back in the early 2000s. At the time, that was needed because we didn't have that. We actually tried to pull meters when we'd show up on the fire scene. We don't do that anymore. It's an unsafe practice. So we've changed the need for this now, and we're requesting that this is removed from this ordinance.
Any discussion? Move approval? I have a.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you.
Got one more.
Gonna stay?
The next item is item 7.4, an ordinance to revise ordinance number 4851-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to revise and update Title 7, Chapter 2, Section 201 of the Code of the City of Johnson City.
Okay. Hello again. Thank you. This is a revision of the code or the ordinances where the commission had adopted the 2018 International Fire Code back in 2020. We had a little bit of a housekeeping issue that we did not update Title VII at that time. Nothing is going to change on the codes as far as what we enforce or have to enforce or apply, the codes we apply. All this is just, like I said, housekeeping. It's just making sure everything matches up across the board like it should. And there will be no additional cost or anything associated with this.
And it doesn't really change how we're doing business, it just brings what we're doing in
Yes.
line with the document.
Yes, making everything match up across the board like it should.
Move approval.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. The next item is item 7.5, ordinance number 4855-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee by changing from the R4 district to the B1 and R5 districts for property located at the southeast corner of Knob Creek and Pactolus Road. We have Amber Rogers here with us.
Good evening. The applicant would like to rezone this property from the R4 medium density to the B1 neighborhood business and R5 high density residential districts. So this is an aerial of the site and the existing conditions. You can see that there is a commercial use on the corner, and right now it is a bike shop. The property is 2 lots. The bigger lot has the bike shop and the 2 apartment buildings, and this is a separate lot that used to contain a house that has since been removed. There are 4 driveway entrances and 7 curb cuts. And let's point those out. So this is the driveway for the house that was removed. This is a driveway that is behind the bike shop. This is a curb cut, another curb cut, and another curb cut. This is a driveway for the bike shop and the driveway for the apartments. And then we also have like street views of those, so you can see what I mean by the difference between the curb cuts and the driveways. So here's the house that has since been removed since this picture's been taken, but that's that driveway. This is the back of the bike shop, random curb cut, another sort of thing that a car can't get into, random curb cut, the driveway for the bike shop, and the driveway for the apartments. So the proposal is to put the bike shop into B1 to sort of rectify that non-conforming use, and R5 for the remainder, and later there would be a subdivision that made those lot lines match up to those zoning district lines. The proposal would be for up to 28 townhomes, and the developer has offered to close 3 driveways. These 2 to Knob Creek, the one that was here, they're gonna put in curb and sidewalk, and the one here to the side of the bike shop, they're gonna remove that one as well. And they're also gonna put curb and sidewalk over here on Pactolus, so that the project would only have access from this one existing driveway to the back of the bike shop. And both lots would use that driveway. The comprehensive future land use map shows the site to be used for residential, and the B1 is not matching that, obviously, but it's been a commercial use since well before it was in the city, since 1955. So it's pretty established as a commercial use. And then this is just sort of an idea of what it looks like. I know that everybody knows, but I'd just like to point out that it is on the corner of 2 collectors and adjacent to another collector. There are 2 schools that are very nearby, a park, and it's less than a mile to a pretty good commercial area. So that's all indicators, as far as planning goes, that that's a good location for high-density residential.
And at no part of this request is assuming replatting. We're envisioning the B1 would be where the bike shop is, and then would they replat where the house was and the apartments were to get to the R5, or?
So I'll go back to this picture. Oh, there's lot lines. There we go. This is a lot right now, and the remainder of this is a lot. So they would just be adjusting that so that the B1 was on its lot and the residential was on its lot.
Okay.
So I clearly understand some of these curb cuts would go away then, is that correct?
Yeah, they're gonna actually take away 3 of the driveways.
Okay.
So there is a driveway here that the apartments used to access, and they're gonna put in curb and sidewalk.
And they'll come in from Pactolus then?
Mhm, and then everybody would, and so this driveway will be gone, this driveway will be gone, and this driveway will be gone, and then we'll only have access here.
Well, all around, it's gonna be an improvement, I think.
Yeah, and I think this is, we've had other applicants ask for B1, and B1's kind of tricky because it's this neighborhood business, and sometimes it's unclear, like, what exactly does that mean? This is one where it feels very much like a neighborhood business because, just the nature of how that property is being used and how it sits in relation to the street. And so that part of it makes sense and the density in relation to where it is on an arterial. You already have that density in the apartments in a sense. So I would make a motion to
Well,
approve.
I had a question.
Oh, go
if you
ahead.
don't mind. So is the concept plan binding with this?
This concept plan is binding. If they were to make changes that triggered an amendment to the concept plan, it would go back to the planning commission and then back to your commission.
So the reason why I ask is, if we're eliminating that curb cut for the apartments on Knob Creek, I was just curious typically we try to have access, like throughways to where there's not just one place to get in and out of. And so I was just curious I'm sure fire looked at this.
Yeah, it's under the threshold number of units
Okay.
for requiring 2 points of access.
You may have said that and I missed it.
I did not.
Okay. You answered my question.
Okay.
You want to proceed?
Can I make a motion to
Yeah.
approve on first reading?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Hmm?
Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Next item is item 7.6, Commission. This is ordinance number 4856-23. This is the first reading. It's an ordinance to rezone approximately 118 acres located along Suncrest Drive as associated with the Keebler annexation from R2B to RP3 district. We have Ms. Boren with us today.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. You guys have seen this project before, so it is back in front of you again. So just a reminder, this was annexed on May 4th, so this is not a conversation of annexation. It is presently in the city limits. They were assigned the R2B zoning district, and they are now requesting the RP3. When it was annexed, there was no binding concept plan associated with this development. At this point in time, with their rezoning request, they will have a binding concept plan. So just to kind of give you guys a timeline, because I know that with annexation and then now a rezoning, so we've gone through the annexation process, and now we are here at first reading. So this will follow a normal rezoning schedule, and it will have a public comment opportunity, or a public hearing opportunity at the next meeting, with third and final reading for the rezoning being on August 3rd. So this is the binding concept plan that is associated with this rezoning. It has 367 single-family lots. You guys have seen this before. It has lot area averaging, so you see that it's got a variety of various lot sizes, making up those 367 lots. Some things that are potentially subject to change is the exact location of entrances. As this developer completes the traffic impact study, there's a chance that the location of these maybe slides up or down a little bit, but the fact that those are ingress and egress points will remain the same. Just exactly where they're located might slide depending on that traffic study. They will still have the phased development that was built into the plan of services that's based off of water sewer capacity. So they can only do 200 units at first, and then they'll have to phase their development out with that. It will be subject to the open space ordinance, so you can see that they've got some open space in here, but they will be required to meet that ordinance. And then they will also be required to complete that traffic study. The future land use map that you guys have seen has that higher density, well, it has commercial along the edge, which we've supported with the higher density townhomes, and then just has residential kind of on the back half. Here are some photos of the property. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval, and staff recommends approval as well, and I can answer any questions that you all may have.
Can you go back to the slide that has the minimum and maximum size lots?
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. So minimum would be 6,000 and maximum would be 9,000. In their plan, are they planning to put different size houses then on the, depending on the size of the lots?
We can't speak to exactly what size houses they're going to do, and we can't really regulate housing size, and that's not something
I
that
think
would
they had talked
be
about it, though.
controlled with the site plan.
I talked to them, they have 12 different plans that they can do, and they're gonna do 12 different plans, different places in this. So I know they're gonna include all the different ones, so it's not gonna be the same house side by side by side.
And
Until it is.
We've already addressed the width of the streets for EMS and fire access. Okay.
Do I have a motion? Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve it on first reading. I mean, there's really no material difference. All we're doing is moving to a situation with a binding site plan, which is the site plan that's been shown throughout this whole process. And so I know the neighbors have been particularly concerned, and understandably so. But for them who are watching, all this is doing is moving the eventual development toward a more clearly defined set of deliverables. So I would make a motion to approve on first reading.
Have a motion?
I'll second, but I do have a question, one other question. There will be 4 streets that will be able to, where you can get in and out of the neighborhood, right? Only one on Suncrest, and then one on each side, and one in the back?
Well, this would be a stub out, so this
Okay.
doesn't connect to an
Okay.
existing property.
What
Or
about
it
the
doesn't
other?
connect to an existing road. It would be for potential future development that would be required for the subdivision regulations.
What about the 2 on the ends then?
Yes, these do connect to a road, so you've got a egress right here, ingress and egress right here, and then you've got this connection on Suncrest, and then it also connects into this road over this way.
So this binding plan includes all the green space and what they're planning to do for the park space and the trail and all that?
Correct.
That kind of thing.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. The next item is under third readings. Item 8.1 is ordinance number 4846-23. This is the abandonment of a portion of public right-of-way along South Roan Street near its intersection with East Highland Road. And
There have
Ms.
been no
Warren is
changes.
here.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Next order of business is item 8.2. This is to consider approval of a final resolution on the proposed voluntary annexation and plan of services of approximately 42 acres located at 997 Carroll Creek Road, also known as the Glaze Annexation.
Hello again.
Hello.
So this is the Glaze annexation property. This is the final resolution. So this is regarding the annexation of the property itself, and it will be a public hearing tonight. And just as a reminder, because I know I've presented this twice now, but because it is public hearing, we're talking about a 42-acre piece of property located along Carroll Creek Road. A portion of the property is actually already in the city, and so not only is it technically split zone, but it's also split city-county at the moment, and it is surrounded, as you can see, pretty much on all sides by city property. And the annexation corresponds with the plan of services, which has been attached in your packet. They are seeking a zoning assignment of R2B with plans to do a single-family development. These are all of the departments that review the plan of services, which is a legally binding document about how we will serve the property. And the Planning Commission has recommended approval, staff recommends approval, and this area is recommended for annexation by the bridge plan.
I would make a motion to.
We have to have a public hearing
on-
first. on
Well,
third reading.
okay, but 8.2 you don't.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're correct. So, before we go to that, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on 8.2? You're free to come forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and.
Now I'll make a motion to approve the final resolution on the voluntary annexation.
Second.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. Any discussion? All right, Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Next order of business is item number 8.3, which is an ordinance number 4847-23. This is the third reading and public hearing. It's an ordinance assigning the R2B zoning district to approximately 42-acre territory located at 997 Carroll Creek Road, associated with the voluntary glaze annexation. Ms. Soren?
Hello again. So you all just annexed the property, and so now we need to apply zoning. And so their request is for the R2B. Again, plans to do a single-family development. This was a very preliminary submitted plan that they did. This is not binding, nor is it up to certain standards they would have to meet. Open space, but just to give you an idea of what they were wanting to do. Again, just a basic single-family development. The R2B zoning does already match the existing zoning in the city limit. So here's a better picture of that parcel where you can see the piece of it that's in the city. And that is currently zoned R2B, so this would match that. It's currently zoned A1 in the county, and Planning Commission recommended approval, and staff recommends approval as well.
What are the lot sizes in R2B? I kind of forgot.
9,000 is the
9,000,
minimum.
okay. Good.
Any further discussion or motion?
Move for approval.
Have a motion?
We have to do public hearing on that?
Not on
Yeah.
I wasn't.
I mean, you know, since you called me,
Since we
I'm
got
gonna
you.
call you
Wait,
out,
wait.
Mr. Mayor.
Wait, actually, don't we?
I don't think we had you
Yeah,
on the
I
other.
know.
You were right on the first one.
Well, it
Joe.
says,
that one
both
has
of them
public
said they
hearing
had to
at
have
the end.
public hearing at the end.
They
They
do
just
both
weren't,
have public
they're not
hearing.
in the same
Oh,
place on the
they're in the wrong
agenda, so I was
place.
misreading it.
So, reading at the end, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this, please come forward.
Don't
Seeing
all,
none,
don't all come at once.
I will
Okay.
close the public hearing.
Motion to approve.
And I have a motion.
Second.
And 2 seconds again. You can pick whichever one, Ms. Louse, you would like. And Ms. Louse, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commission, the next order of business is item number 9.1. This is a resolution requesting authorization to amend the Johnson City subdivision regulations to comply with the House Bill 2534. And I'd like to congratulate Will Ryder. This is his first meeting after officially being named as Planning and Development Services Director. So congratulations, Will.
Thank you.
Well
Mrs.
deserved.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good evening, Mayor Fowler, Vice Mayor Murphy, Commissioners, Mrs. Ball. This is a request of authorization, request that your commission authorize staff to amend the subdivision regulations in order to comply with a House bill that was passed last year. This is the memorandum that I included in your packet. This law amends Title 13 of TCA, which concerns platting authority, specifically what staff can do, can approve administratively. Typically, the non-standard thing about this particular law is that everything to do with subdivision regulations falls under the authority of the Johnson City Regional Planning Commission. However, this little excerpt in Section 3 requires the legislative body of every legislative body that lies within the Regional Planning Commission to actually authorize staff to go ahead and make the changes. If we receive your authorization to do so, we will draft the regulations, take them to our planning commission for approval. You will not have to approve the specific changes. We just have to receive your authorization to do so in order to comply with this law. I'm really excited about this because I think it helps expedite the platting process. Currently, staff can only approve plats that create one additional lot. This allows you to approve plats up to 5 lots, as long as those plats are not, do not have variance requests or require infrastructure. Also, those plats that do have infrastructure which require preliminary plats, we go through the preliminary plat process. You have a preliminary plat, it goes to the Planning Commission, to construction plan staff approval, you proceed with construction, and then it has to come back for final plat. If plats requiring preliminary plat approval are 25 lots or less, we can approve those by staff as well. Those are the changes. I will now subsequently have to go to the Washington County Board of Commissioners and present this at some point and work with Angie Charles because they're a legislative body in our Regional Planning Commission, and just advise them that we're doing this. That's the way the law was written. Don't anticipate any issues with that.
Can you describe that a little further? So what is it you're going to the county to ask?
I have to go to according to this, and it says, consistent with the parameters of this section, unless each county and municipal legislative body lie in whole or in part within, subject to the jurisdiction of the Regional Planning Commission.
So they have to approve it too?
Yes.
When they be doing this for their own planning commission as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and if
And
they
this-
were to vote against it for their planning commission, that would stymie your effort?
I suppose. This is consistent with what the other regional planning commissions, Kingsport has done, and going to the other, with Sullivan County. And this is the direction I received from MTAS on how I needed to
Okay.
proceed with this. I went to the Regional Planning Commission back in September of last year to get their authorization to look into this, which is typical for a sub-reg change. But it took me some time to sort through this with what all was involved, with how many bodies I need to go to.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I just want to confirm, you would still be bound by whatever the applicable zone is. So if somebody had a 25,000 square foot lot and they came in and wanted to plat it, you wouldn't, and it was R2, you wouldn't be able to plat it because the allowable size in R2 is pretty close to already met. Is that right?
Correct.
But if they had a 3-acre parcel of R2, you could cut it up into 5 pieces with a staff approval?
Yes.
Okay. I'd move approval.
I have a motion, do I have a
Second.
second? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Ms. Laps?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Next item is item 9.2. This is an RFP number 6678. This is consideration for the commission to enter into an agreement with Kimley Horn for a growth management study. We have Whitney Hodges. Whitney is, if the commission approves this, Whitney will be our project manager on behalf of the city to manage this project over the next 15 to 18 months.
We're hoping for 15. But good evening. It's really great to be back in front of you guys. The growth management plan is an exciting opportunity because we get to kind of create a planning document that will guide our city for the next 10 to 20 years. It will help you with any type of land use decisions or investments that you may want to make. So when you say comprehensive plan, that's a rather ambiguous term. And so in this RFP, we kind of define that as to these 7 topics. It's future land use, housing, infrastructure and transportation, public safety, how we do our parks and green spaces, as well as our educational facilities, making sure that we provide for those. And one may say, why now? Well, it's been about 20 years since we've undertaken this, this task. Our population has grown by about 28%. And it is a wonderful way to engage the community in how they want to see this next set of years in Johnson City. We all know that there are development pressures and market forces that really kind of, we need to double down into this. But maybe there's some thoughts out there like, haven't we done this before? We have done some planning efforts. We had the bridge plan just a couple of years ago that kind of bridged a gap to this plan so that we could get some better census data in a comprehensive plan. And then you'll also put together a strategic plan that helps kind of vision what you see for the future. Just in our timeline, we started this process in January, and proposals were accepted until March. We had 2 firms that submitted proposals, and a selection committee was created so that we could kind of just do what that committee states, select it. But we first met to kind of go over with the committee what is in this RFP, or request for proposal. And then next meeting we distributed the proposals that we had gotten and what kind of ranking criteria that we would be doing. And then after that, we all got back together, shared our rankings, and said that we wanted to interview one of the firms, which was Kimley Horn. And we did that in April. And it was an opportunity for Kimley Horn's main people that will be with us. We'll go back. many people that will be with us that for them to ask questions of us and for us to ask more developed questions for them. So their RFP was rather general. They did deep dive on a few things, but there were other things that we wanted to make sure that we understood. And in their proposal, they have a 3-phase approach. So for them, it's an envision, plan, and finalize. And the first 2 is where the bulk of the work is going to happen. So in envision, that's going to be where we collect a lot of information. So gathering baseline data, creating market analyses. We're going to vision and set the planning principles which are particular to our community. The goals that we really want to set forth. They will take that back, and after a lot of community input, and we'll talk about that. I'll show you a slide about that in a second. And then plan, they're going to provide us with 3 growth strategies. So we'll be able to make decisions based on our limitations or the resources that we have of how we want to grow. And then with those will come out a future land use strategy, and there'll be policies that go with that and implementation plans. I get really excited about this stuff. And then lastly, we're going to report about it and we'll do the adoption process. One of the reasons that the selection committee really was captured by this particular team is a lot of their team, especially in this area here, have some sort of connection to our region. While our main area is coming out of North Carolina, these will be the people that will be kind of in close contact. The one thing that is LDA engineering, they have subcontracted with them for the infrastructure, but they really have tried to find people that know about us and know, kind of how unique we are. Another reason was how they approached community engagement and trying to think outside the box with different strategies. There'll be some traditional approaches where, it's just kind of a community hall, but they're also adding in a website, online surveys that they will manage, so we're not really stressing any of our own staff. So we'll coordinate with that, but they'll be doing that. And this slide here kind of shows you where they'll be engaging in each of those steps. So you'll notice that the bulk of a lot of the community engagement is in those first 2 steps, which is where it should be. And a lot of that is reporting back. So you'll be, as a commission, will be updated at each time because we want to keep that feedback loop. So what do we get? Old books on shelves? No. We want something that we can use. So we want documents where we can, like a land use map you saw earlier where it just says residential. We want to know what kind of residential or what kind of commercial we see fit there. This can help with decisions on capital improvement projects, annexations, and support any other initiatives that you might have. And so we're here at this meeting. The next step, if you want to award the contract, you may. And then we're going to kind of get started into a kickoff and selecting an advisory committee. So if there are people listening that would like to or are interested in this, please let us know. This is a timeline of the process, and the process I would like to kind of get started with as quickly as possible. We've been talking about this for about a year. So of starting, getting a kickoff in August. They have a phase 2. But what we can do in the future is we can use this to be accountable in our decision making because we'll be collecting information from the community and really get some good community guidance. We can use this plan maybe in 5 years to ask, how are we doing? And we can use this as a gauge. And then it'll also be a way that if we see places that we need additional study, this will help identify those and help support that. So, in summary, a growth plan is needed because we need them for land use decisions and have the ability to update community input. The RFP was completed through all the city policies and all the proper notifications. It's going to take about 15 months, and we want it to be an active document. So that's all that I have.
Commissioners, and Ms. Ball, a few weeks ago, we had someone from the public come before us and was quite critical that we weren't thinking ahead. And of course, we knew where we were going. And this is a great summary for getting a plan together that really has relevance but looks into the future. It's also, I think, besides all the things you've identified that it's going to be doing for us, it's going to help guide us in our budgeting as well, because it will be dealing with infrastructure, and it allows us to plan, on phases on how we're going to address all of these issues that will come out in this study. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. I feel like we all can have confidence that we're going to have a roadmap, a guide. And I appreciate you, Ms. Ball, for, leading this and getting it up to this point. And it's kind of like another one of those things. When are we going to get finished so we can move ahead? But I am just absolutely for this.
Well, and some of that urgency is very present because we've had annexation and zoning requests in front of us that would be well informed by the results of this study had we had this study done 2 years ago. And so we can't get this ball rolling too soon. Is what's before us tonight to accept the proposal? What is the action you need the commission?
We need the commission to basically award the contract. I think it's a purchase order is actually what the contract is. But
Yes, we need to we need to authorize, you all to authorize us to enter into a contract with Kimley Horn.
So I would make that motion to authorize entering into the contract based on this RFP.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and we're planning on that closer to 15 months than 18 months on this being done.
That's my goal.
Well, we also have experience with this consulting group because they have done the West Walnut Street project, and they did an amazing job on that, so.
They were really, like, in their interview, they were really excited to be here and to work with us, so.
Because if you get it done within 18 months, that'll be at the end of my term, just thinking of that.
You
So
can
we'd like to get
deliver on
done
it.
before I get done, so we at least have a
I
plan.
would like
at
that
Do you have a
too.
counter
So-
running on your phone
I
yet?
do, so,
Okay.
all right. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, Ms. Laus?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Mayor Fowler?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Whitney.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else, sir.
All right, I'm going to start over here on this end tonight.
4th of July's coming. Let the professionals blow off the fireworks for the Pepsi fireworks show. Don't do it yourself. We don't need to be sending ambulances to your houses.
Fire department.
The fire department's got enough going on that night, so.
All right. Vice Mayor?
I echo Commissioner Wise's words there. Please be safe during these holidays. We want to celebrate the independence of our country, but your safety is very important. So parents, please do supervise your children and come and join the festivities on Monday, July 3rd at Freedom Hall. It'll be a wonderful time we can all celebrate together.
Yes, being on the Animal Control Board, please take care of your animals on the 4th. Fireworks are beautiful. We love to watch them and everything, but generally speaking, dogs and cats are very fearful. So keep them inside. Don't leave them out. If they get a lot of anxiety, you might get a thunder shirt to put on or something, but stay close to them if possible, but keep them safe and recognize they're going to have a lot of anxiety during that time.
Ditto.
And we mentioned animals, but there are a lot of veterans that don't enjoy that night very much either.
That's
So
right.
take them into effect and be praying that they get through it all right too. But we look forward to seeing everybody out at Freedom Hall for the Pepsi-sponsored fireworks. And Food City, I think, is the presenter with that too. So we appreciate them being involved with it. And I look forward to being out there on Monday night to do this. And hopefully you'll all be up there on stage with me on Monday night. All right. If there's nothing further, I will adjourn us.